Hello friend, welcome to this version of Tip Tuesday. We're going to be talking about Copics, and if you are new to alcohol coloring, Copics can be very overwhelming, and I'm going to be real honest with you. I am not a Copic expert. I will tell you that there is a Copic expert that I love and highly recommend, and her name is Sandy Allnock, and yeah, she has lots of amazing art classes. She's here on YouTube. I will have both of those linked below. I highly recommend that you follow her on her social. She is a artist of many different methods, not just Copic markers, but her information is beyond amazing. I wanted to bring you kind of the, I'm not a beginner, but I'm not an expert either, some of my thoughts. So before I go much further, we've talked about swatching our ink pads. Well, while we're talking, I am swatching my Copic markers. I have lost somewhere my Copic marker charts like these that were on my Nina Classic Crest Solar White 80. And I don't know where the set went. It's sprouted legs and it's walked off. So I am re-swatching, and I thought while I was doing this, some things hit me that I wanted to share. One of which is this hex chart. This is a creation of Sandy's. You can purchase this on her website, and in my opinion, it is worth every single penny. That said, when I first started, this is the printed or the color version that you can print out. There's also blank versions that you can color with what you have. But when I first started with alcohol markers, this was the only chart I had. Now, there is a second page that has the grays on it. And right now I'm in the middle of swatching color, so we're just looking at color. But just know there is a second page that has the grays on it. So when I started with Copic markers, this was the chart that I went to. And I'm going to be real honest with you. This got very overwhelming to me. As a new colorist, this was very overwhelming. I was struggling with blends. When I first got started, I went with advice that I had always been given about just about anything. And that was, well, what do you color? What do you use? Those are probably the colors that you need to have at the ready, right? So what did I do? I went to Pinterest, I went to Instagram, and I started looking for color combinations without really understanding very much about how Copic markers work or the numbering system or any of it. And I had this beautiful hex chart in hand to help me. And it was a disaster. I'm just going to be honest. It was a lot of trial and error. And so today for Tip Tuesday, I am hoping to save you just a little bit of that trial and error by introducing you to a second chart. This one is free. This one is put out by Copic. This is in numerical order from the zeros down to whatever the biggest number is. Now, I will tell you the E family and the B families are so big that they are 2 lines. So I still use the hex chart. I love the hex chart now. It makes sense to me. But this chart does too. So let's start with the hex chart. And I will do my best to explain it the way that I understand it. These colors are arranged visually, meaning these are the colors that kind of seem like they would go together. Now, one thing I do know, somewhere along the way, Sandy talked about this chart from the standpoint of it's visual. So exactly where things go, your eye may read the color differently. So don't get hung up in, oh my goodness, this one should be here and not there. This is truly her vision. And she spent a lot of time working on this. So again, this is something that I think is well worth the purchase. It is something that I use every single paper that I color on. I have this chart. I don't always have this chart. And there are a couple of reasons. This chart in numerical order for me does something very different than this one. So somewhere along the way, I heard Sandy say this is more of a visual representation of how colors could be grouped together. That it's more of a visual representation of similar colors. They are adjacent to each other, meaning they're touching. It could very well be a way that you pull some color combinations across color families. For example, down here, I have some BVs. There are some Vs. You're getting into some Bs as well. So you may be able to pull color combinations and blends from there. That's not to say that they will always work. They don't always work. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they look fantastic. Sometimes it's very difficult to blend out. I personally feel like this is more of an advanced chart. This, though, helps me know if I can't find the exact right color. We'll look at the full one. If I can't find the exact right color, it may be in a different color family. For example, if I am looking for, say, the perfect shade of red, and I need a really pretty, dark, yummy, luscious red, they would be up here in this corner, right? Okay. We also have some red violets that are really pretty and dark. So this gives me an idea of if this R89 is way too stinking dark and R39 is too light, this RV69 may actually be the perfect color. When I come and I look at it on my numerical chart, that's not as easy to see, right? They're all spread out. Here's R89, there's R39, and then we have, what was the other one that I said? Oh, I don't have that one. RB69. That happens to be one I don't own, but it would be right here. So I don't own all the colors. I do suffer from full set syndrome. So in my dreams, this chart would be full. But that also tells me something else. As I'm looking at the fully colored chart, it may tell me what my next colors need to be, right? So if I have purchased a lot in this color area, I may need something that works with it but is darker, and I could go towards the browns this way, or I could go towards the reds this way. It's just a visual representation of where it is. It is not in numerical order. I will tell you, coloring it is very fun because they're kind of all over the place. So it is a little bit of hunt and paste. I do keep this one out so that I can kind of look at it. If you have not been made aware, the color on the cap is as close as they can get in plastic. I mean, that's just what I'm going to say. And some of them are fairly decent matches. Like this is Y17 and there's Y17 colored. So some of them are close. Some of them are way far off. So real quick, let's talk about the numerical chart. As a beginner, this is the chart for you. And I love the hex chart. I would get the hex chart. I would get the hex chart just to have this piece so that you can see all the colors and see how they play together. But as you are purchasing, this is the chart that I would use. And here's why. Being in numerical order, you see the natural families. You see the natural groups that are going to blend well together. So if we look here at these yellows, there's Y11, 13, 15, 17, 18, and 19. They all have a 1 at the front, which means that they are all the same. Oh, I'm fixing to tell y'all wrong. Hold on. I don't want to say it wrong. The first number, I had it written down over here, is the saturation number. So these will all have the same color saturation. So they will all kind of be the same intensity. So all of the 1s are going to work well together. The second number is the brightness number. So 1 is going to be brighter than 8, 7 is going to be brighter than 3, but this would be a natural blending group, meaning if I am a beginner and I need a good yellow blend, if I grabbed 11, 13, and 15, I am going to be able to blend that out easily. It is going to work every single time because of the science behind this chart. Again, I did not have this when I started. I was jumping around. I was going to Pinterest and finding my favorite, colored image and going, ooh, I need those colors. And so because of that, I wasn't always successful. Now I have this chart, and even though I have kind of advanced past needing to stay within a natural family, and that's what I'm going to call these, natural blending families, even though I have probably moved past that a little bit, this is very nice to come back to. If I don't have a color, say I am working in the yellows and I'm in the zeros. So all of those zeros will work together. Well, I need something in between 02 and 08, but I don't own 4 or 6. That is where I would come to this chart and I would say in my head, I own 8, I own 2, what else might work? What else might visually work with this that I could try to see if I can get a blend? Y11 and Y13 could potentially work. Because it's a 1, its saturation level is going to be different. And so that is something that I have to take into consideration, because the zeros are going to be such bright colors. They're going to desaturate a little bit into the 1s. That may play in. It may not. But that's some really important information to know. So that is my tip for Tip Tuesday, is this chart. I will have it all linked below. Real quick before we go, I have one more quick tip for you. And of course, none of my markers are going to do this right now. But when you are coloring, if this tip down here at the end all of a sudden looks really, really wet, like it took a bath, that means it's pushing ink out of the barrel. And the easiest way to fix that problem is to pull the back cap. That equalizes the pressure. I know that sounds crazy. It's like it went up in an airplane. But I have opened these up to go color with them, not paid attention, and had a blob of ink fall out. As a matter of fact, I'll show you where that happened, because it's on one of my charts. It kind of cracked me up. So I don't think you can see it anymore, because I did, well, you kind of can. So right here at R21, I was using my R22 to fill in this square, and the blob dropped. And it dropped halfway in the R22 and halfway in the R21. And so I used a colorless lifter to take some of the color out, and then I went back over it with R21. But it does happen. The easiest way to do it is when you're coloring and you're paying attention to your nib. If you see it get super, super juicy, pop the cap. So thank you, my friends, for joining me today for this Tip Tuesday on Copic markers. I hope that you will please check out the links below. Go support Sandy Allnock. She has an amazing series of classes that she calls Jumpstart. Just FYI, I get no kickback. I get nothing from it other than I absolutely love supporting her, because she puts out so much content for free that I really want you guys to know about them. But her Jumpstart classes, there are several of them. She has a Copic coloring one. I know there's a watercoloring one, because I've taken those two. And I love them. And there's a lot of really good information. Sandy has an amazing way of breaking everything down for you. So, my friends, please go check out Sandy. Check out her channel. Support her by purchasing the hex charts or one of her classes. There are lots of them. There's not just the Jumpstart. There are some level 2, 3, and 4 classes. She has a brand new one that just came out about coloring people. It is a level 4 class. I will tell you that it is way over my head. I'm not there yet. But as soon as I've got a better grip on what I'm doing, especially when it comes to coloring people and critters, that is on my list of things to take. I'm really excited about it. As a matter of fact, I may purchase the course just to support her and then have it there for when I am ready. But I want to thank you for being here today. I would love it if you would like my channel. Just click that little thumbs up button down there. That helps others find me. It helps support my channel, and it helps me keep coming back with new content. Also, if you subscribe, you'll be the first to know when new videos are put out. because you'll get a notification from YouTube's. You don't even have to try to remember it. So my friends, until we are together again next time, go make some memories. Bye-bye.